Welcome to Scanner School session number 59, another Ask Scanner School session, but this time with a twist.
Welcome to the Scanner School, a podcast dedicated to the scanner radio hobby. Class is about to begin. Here is your host, Phil Lichtenberger.
So welcome to Scanner School. My name is Phil Lichtenberger. My amateur radio call sign is W2LE, and this podcast is here to teach you everything you need to know about the scanner radio hobby. Now, while this is a podcast, don't forget we also have a YouTube channel, which I am starting to become a little bit more active in right now. I've got a couple of videos on there, and I have a nice little list going of additional videos that I want to post. So if you are interested in learning something a little bit different, something that I can't really explain over a podcast, it's a little bit more hands-on, something that's a little bit more visual, please go to scannerschool.com/YouTube and please subscribe. And also while you're subscribing, click on the bell. We are just under 800 subscribers right now, and I would really love to hit 1,000 by the end of the month. So if you can help me out, hit it and click subscribe so I can hit my 1,000 goal. That's really where I'd love to be by the end of the month. And I have some great videos in the queue, and I'm also looking for some video ideas. So if you want to jump on our Facebook group and leave me a suggestion over there, you can do so. Again, scannerschool.com/Facebook group. We have over 800 members in that group as well. And, plenty of conversations going on, not even related to the show, just general scanning questions. So it's a great place to hang out if you are on Facebook. So before we get started, I want to remind you that Scanner School is sponsored by East Coast Pages. And again, East Coast Pages is one of my online companies. So if you're looking for a new pager for your fire department, or you want to, just grow your radio collection, a pager is a great way to do so because it frees up your scanner radio, and a pager is dedicated to just listening to your local fire department. And what's nice too is if you are a diehard like me, and you want to leave the radio on, but you don't want to listen to the nonsense, a pager will only open and activate if you program in the paging tones that go out over the air. So it's a nice way to keep the radio silent and just know what's going on. And even at night, you can put on Do Not Disturb mode and then go back in the morning and play back your messages, and you'll hear what you missed overnight. So if you go to eastcoastpagers.com, we have Unication G1, G4, G5 pagers, the S-Quad 360, and the S-Quad voiced by Swissphone. And again, we offer free shipping on those pager models. So again, eastcoastpagers.com. All right, so this is another Ask Scanner School session, but we're going to do this one with a little bit of a twist. You're going to be a fly on the wall on a consulting session. Yes, I do offer consulting services for anybody that's looking for hands-on or a one-on-one type of tutorial, or just getting through a hump that they have in the scanner radio hobby. So what you're going to listen to right now is a conversation between Tyler and myself. Tyler had a couple of questions, and I offered to meet with him for a 30-minute consulting session. Now, again, this one goes a little bit longer because we agreed to actually do this one as a podcast episode. So kind of as a trade-off, I gave him a couple extra minutes to go through anything else that he wanted to go. So this is a little bit longer than a 30-minute consulting session. But again, we're going to listen to this as a fly on the wall. Tyler was sharing his screen with me, so we are going to refer to some things that we are looking at, as opposed to what what we're listening to, and as well as you'll hear some chimes in the background. For those of you who use Windows 10, you'll notice those notifications. He did have some processes running in the background, and it was a notification that was going on the screen as we were talking and going through what was on his Windows computer. But all in all, I wanted to put this session out there so you can see what a consulting session with me is like. So if you're interested in a consulting session, you can go to scannerschool.com/consulting. If you can't remember that, just go to scannerschool.com, scroll all the way to the bottom of the page, all the way down to the bottom. Under pages, there will be a link to the consulting session where you can book an appointment with me. Now, again, we do this over Skype. We can do TeamViewer. I like Skype because it does allow us to share screens and do remote control and all that stuff as well. So again, this is a consulting call between Tyler and myself. And I hope you enjoy listening to how it is I interact with, those who I give consulting services for. Now, again, if you want your consulting service, if you need more help, you can always reach out to me at scannerschool.com/consulting. So here we go. Going.
Good, Phil. How you doing?
Good.
Hey, just before we get started here, I wanted just to say, hey man, keep up on the good work. I stumbled across the podcast about, probably about 3 weeks ago,
Okay.
and just getting into the space and a bunch of good stuff. So keep that up.
Excellent. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
So I kind of just, um, being new in the world of scanners and listening to about 20. I start very sequentially. Started at about the very first one. I'm in the 20s of your podcast. So there's a chance that maybe some of this stuff is either not digested fully or maybe I'm to get to yet. But I kind of just have a range of questions.
Okay.
And I think that you'd probably be able to have some of the the more higher level responses for it. So I've got I'll ask you a few questions and I can maybe just do a quick screen share and I can show you a few screenshots that I've got that maybe also will help.
Sure.
But just from a from a higher level standpoint, how do you determine how to group your systems, your sites, your groups? And the question that kind of comes hand in hand with that is it bad not to, because of the way that the file structure is, so that it can process more transmissions at once.
Gotcha. All right. So if I'm understanding what you're asking correctly, is you want to know, like, you don't want to make small groups and find out that it'd be better to make a bigger group because you have a better success rate on the larger group of getting the talk groups you want to listen to?
Yeah, I'm actually just hitting share screen right now. So here's a screenshot of just the ARC XT on one scanner that I have. And so it's like search and discovery mode. What can I pick up? And there's a whole rabbit hole of questions there.
Right.
But what I have is I have 3 different types of systems, all named the same. And the reason that it is because I'm having the files record out to folders, and I'm trying to stick everything that comes from a certain county in that folder. So in here, the structure is there's a conventional system with your conventional frequencies. There's your P25 site, and then talk groups, and then there's an EDAX system up here.
Okay.
And so when I look at the scanner, and basically what's happening is there's at the very bottom there is a shot kind of like this, let's say, for example, and you've got along the bottom you've got no systems and no groups. And so my question is this problematic from like a memory management standpoint?
No, not really. So when I normally program, when I program a system for myself, I'll add the groups in there because they're good to turn off and on. So for example, with the way I do them is my local fire county, right? There's 9 battalions in the county plus a countywide. So it works out nicely on the unit because you have groups 1 through 9 of the 9 battalions. Group 0 I set up as the county-wide stuff. So I can easily and quickly turn the groups off and on based on what it is I want to listen to. So if I only want to listen to, like, where I live now is the 6th battalion within the county, and nothing in the county dispatches over county-wide. So I could really just turn off everything in the county really quickly by using the groups, and I would basically lock out, everything but the 6th battalion.
So what about in the case where I want to be as hands-off as possible? I want to be able to capture as many transmissions as possible. If I was going to be in front of the scanner and I was going to be, manually interacting with it, that makes perfect sense.
Right.
The use case that I'm using it for is scanner in a certain location. The only time I ever have to touch it would be to figure out if there's been, updates. I got to add talk groups or they've changed frequencies.
Right. So in that case, it doesn't really matter if you're going to set them up in groups or not. I mean, the scanner is going to go through all the groups. Although I have to verify because I know with like the home patrol units, it's a little bit different. It goes from lowest to highest, or first in, first out. whatever favorites list you create the first is how it's going to go. It doesn't actually necessarily go in alphabetical order. With the 9 and 6s, I'm not sure if it just scans everything in the system or if it goes through each group independently. I think what it does is it goes through each group, group 1, 2, 3, 4. So, again, if you have all the groups turned on, I don't think it really makes too much of a difference, whether or not you're going to collect everything. Because if you have just one big group or you have subgroups, as long as they're all turned on, you're effectively just doing the exact same thing.
And the asterisk there means that that group is not on or not enabled, right?
It means that it's defined in the scanner, but it's locked out. That's what the asterisk means. If it was a hash mark or a minus sign, it would mean that nothing's defined in that position. So, for example, on your top window here, you have something defined in you have nothing defined in S0 because they're all hashed out. So you have no systems defined there, but you have group 1 turned on and enabled. And then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 looks like that they're defined, but they're all locked out.
I got you. Yeah, because what I'll actually do is I'll get this going while I continue to. I'm actually going to open up Arc while we're talking. And
okay.
So I guess just more of the. So that's good to know that part. So how do you judge? Like capacity of a scanner, so where you don't put 20 counties on there and anything and everything on there, and let's say you could pick it up. From the way that I understand that this works is it's working in a sequential manner where it picks up a frequency that's being broadcast. It's going to stop. It's going to listen to that, and if there are other broadcasts that are going on during that same time, it could potentially miss. Is that correct?
That's definitely correct.
So then then my question is, okay, well, all right, let's then talk about multi-scanners in a single location. And then are you just kind of trial and error, figuring out, I'm going to move all my talk groups over to this one, I'm going to move all my frequencies over here, and try to figure out what the sweet spot is depending on usage?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So yeah, you're starting to really get deep into the hobby here, and you're going to find out that this is going to be just a rabbit hole to go down to, and this is what makes the hobby really fun. So the way I have mine set up is I have one scanner dedicated per use that I am interested in. So I have one scanner dedicated to my county, what was dedicated to my county PD before they went encrypted, my county fire. I have the neighboring county police, neighboring county fire. Then I have a bunch of other scanners that I have set up for particular tasks, maybe for state police and one maybe for, Marine, stuff like that. And
Sure.
These are all known frequencies, and they're busy doing their jobs, and I'm listening to conversations. And because the scan lists are relatively small, and I'm saying relatively small because I'm not scanning, those 4 agencies together. I'm not scanning my county's fire and police and the neighbor county fire police, maybe NYPD and FDNY, because I live on Long Island. So I would never really get out of FDNY and NYPD, basically, because they're just constantly busy. Breaking it down into small scan lists on scanners dedicated to the task will allow you to would minimize you missing conversations. It would increase your headache because now you're listening to more things at once.
Sure.
But then you could also dedicate scanners to just be in search mode and just run through the frequencies that you're not aware that are actually in use, or the talk groups that have no activity on. And if you're going to dive into talk groups with no activity, maybe it's time to look at running some software like Unitrunker or OP25, DSD Plus, something that actually has some logging functionality that's more advanced from the Butel software.
Okay.
And then from there, you can even get into, I know people that just stack radios up. If you look at, actually was just a post yesterday on Radio Reference, Richard Carlson, he's an employee of Scannermaster. He just posted a link to his latest scanner setup, and he has a rack, a 42U rack, which stands 7 feet tall. That's 3/4 full with scanners. Now, again, each scanner is doing its own dedicated task. One does local police, one does local fire. But he's broken it down where he's big into mil-air monitoring. So he's broken down the mil-air band into 4 scanners. So each scanner just scans through a very small sample in a search range. Because, again, if you're scanning from point A to point B and they're pretty far apart, you're going to miss something that's really close to point A.
Sure.
So that's what I'm saying. This is a very deep rabbit hole that you can go down, which is a really exciting part of the hobby, and you can make this as big as you wanted to make it be. Right now you're tip of the iceberg on what it is that I think that it is that you want to do. So
yeah, in the past 3 years, I feel like or 3 weeks, I feel like I put my toe in the water and then just kind of fell in.
Yes.
So it's kind of in that. So as far as looking at that screenshot here and looking at these groups and these that are kind of turned on, that's just this feature turning off. Is that correct?
Yes. So those would be the quick. So enable group quick. Right. Correct. So now if you actually open up that system, that Bell system you're looking at, so you see you have Harrier Heights quick key 1, Kylene quick key 1. Right. So those are the group keys. And you can see from there, from the pull down menu you're over right now, that's how you would change those quick keys, those definitions.
Sure. Yeah, I went through and I was like, all right, cool. I'm gonna structure all these.
You're gonna organize them, right?
Well, I did it, and then I don't know if it was just the stars were aligned in the right way, but I just like stopped picking up transmissions.
Mm.
And I'm like, oh, okay, revert back to last known working configuration. And
right.
So it's been back here. So, but as long as it doesn't matter from like a ability to pick up a.
Well, let's hold off right there for a second. That exact reason that you were just saying, all of a sudden you define quick keys and you weren't able to hear anything, is exactly why when I program scanners for other people, I do not define quick keys for anybody. Because it's very easy to lock out a quick key and not realize you've locked it out. So, again, an example I just gave earlier where I say with my county where I have 9 divisions plus a county-wide, if you accidentally press that function button and then any one of the numerical keys, you're locking out that group key under that system. So you might think you're locking out system 1 or scan list 1, but in reality, it's because you pressed the function key first. You accidentally pushed in that wheel, that multi-position dial. You're locking out a group key, and you may never realize you've locked that group key out until, like your case here. The radio's silent. I haven't heard this talk group or this frequency in forever. You hit manual and you cycle through everything and realize you have an asterisk in there. And for most people, they scratch their head going, "Why is there an asterisk in here? I can't figure this out." Because they don't realize that there's the subgroups in there. So to make things simple, and I think you're beyond the simple point. I think you understand how the systems and groups work because you're defining them. Just make sure when you go in there and you look at your scan list, and again, it's very easy. You can just read the radio and see what's in there, or we can actually look at that now and make sure that it's enabled. So looking at what you have down there right now is just groups that are enabled. It looks like only group 1 is enabled, but that's all you have in that system is group 1. You don't have anything else defined anywhere else in that system. You only have quick key 1, group 1.
Correct. So if I was to assign systems, I'd be doing that here, correct?
Correct. That would be in there. Yep.
So that's kind of what I did. I did, one. Well, actually, all these were on system 1. I believe I put. Actually, no. I think what I did is I put, the 3 in Bell County. I put those on independent system. I put everything on independent system just so that I could look at the scanner that's sitting in front of me and I could say, okay, system 4, group 1 is, Williamson County conventional, and on that I'm looking at Round Rock's fire, and okay, that's there. Well, I actually got another question for you while we're at like this level. How do you program in the hex code? So 04, let's say if it's 0, if there's a talk group with 04-090, can I just add a channel and put it in that way instead of just doing the 593 or the? Yeah,
you're better off sticking with the decimal standard.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't even think it's possible to do the decimal in Motorola through Butel. I think you guys stick with decimal.
And so you just okay. Yeah, I can see now. I can see some of these. So okay, cool. That's good to know.
Yeah, stick with decimal.
So is radio reference really? I mean, from what it seems like, it's like the mecca of information sources. Is there any other information sources that you use to determine any maybe non-published talk groups or frequencies?
your own homework is your best bet when it comes to that. Your own personal lists.
Yeah, that's kind of what I figured.
Yeah, and you're going to build them. I mean, it looks like right now you're on the road to building out yourself because you said you are logging things. If you bring up virtual controller, on the because you have Pro, it looks like ArcXT Pro, so you will have the logging, you will have virtual control, so you'll be able to start picking things up. Another thing you can look at too is the FCC database. And again, if you're a premium subscriber to Radio Reference, you can actually do an FCC dump, I believe, and it will give you a CSV file of all the frequencies that are defined in an area. And again, you can sort through those and find out which ones sound like they might be important to you.
Okay.
But again, like by me, a lot of things aren't licensed, even though they're licensed to like Company A. Company B might be using them instead. So,
sure,
this is the part of the hobby I feel like isn't dead but is dying.
In which part?
Radio Reference is great because it gives you, like you said, it's the mecca of finding out information. But there's that part of the hobby that is a lost art. I feel that it's actually people who go out there and they find things out for themselves, which I can definitely tell is what you want to do, which is great. So yes, setting up your radios in search mode and maybe setting them so they sit in the UHF business band or the public safety band, or throwing your scanner on talk group ID search mode instead of talk group scan mode, and see what comes up, and then start monitoring those, and that's where you get into software again like Unitrunker, or DSD Plus, depending what it is you want to do. But if you want to play around with Unitrunker, that would be an awesome start for you to actually visualize and see what's going on a trunk system. That's what I use to discover new talk groups on my current system. Of course, again, a lot of it's encrypted. It's not easy to find out what they are. But my neighboring county is staging a new trunk system. So we're actively watching it as they're deploying the system, as they're bringing radios on, as they're bringing talk groups on there and using them for the very first time. It's very exciting to see what they're building that isn't publicly available yet.
Yeah, sure. When actually at the screen, before I forget, so I see the the near FM, and then there's actual frequencies, but I pretty much only see them flipping between NFM and like a set frequency, in the 800 band. Why don't you, or maybe I'm just not viewing it 24/7, but why don't I see other frequencies come listed up in the frequency here? Or is it just a matter of, well, you're probably not watching it when that frequency is picked up?
So that's a good one. I was going to say it's because it's an ID scan mode, you're going to see the active talk control channel, but the one below it negates exactly what I was just going to say to you, because you can see it says NFM down there. Maybe it's alternating back and forth. I'm not exactly sure why it's showing one and not the other. Yeah,
it does alternate back and forth.
Yeah,
but I just didn't know if that's an indication of something not properly programmed.
Generally, you want narrowband FM on everything. If you're having issues with the talk with trunk systems, I've read that you can put those into FM mode. Basically, what that means is that's the bandwidth that the scanner is going to expect the signal to be. 25 kilohertz versus 12.5 kilohertz.
Mm-hmm.
So I think FM mode right now is 25 kilohertz. Narrowband FM 12.5, which everything really FCC mandated right now is 12.5. But the new narrowband, the ultra narrowband, is 6.25. So typically everything is going to go in your scanner right now as NFM. And if you are confused about which one to use, you could just do automatic and let the scanner handle it for you.
Sure. Yeah, I was going to ask you if, so I'm trying to figure out how do I know if I need to upgrade the 996B2 that I have to the Pro Voice or that DMR, Moto Turbo, and kind of, this was a kind of a aha moment for me, is the way that ARC works, where you select, let's say, one county, and let's do one that I know would have this one. So this one is going to have conventional frequencies, which will pull up. Mm-hmm. But then it's like, oh yeah, in order to get all the talk groups, you have to come over here to the trunk system,
right,
and then select the different ones that you want. And so, from what I understand, this is pretty much dark, encrypted. You can't do this open sky.
Correct. Open sky. There's nothing out there that's going to help you out with that.
Yeah, and so the I guess kind of the question is like, so if I try to determine if I need to do the DMR upgrade, is it going to be you're going to see the county in which you want to get information from, but there's going to be a system that is like a Motorola labeled system, like
Correct. So if you go, for example, go to New York State, you pull down. And then for county, pick Nassau County, Nassau. Yep. And then go into trunk systems. And then from your pull down, you'll see we got DMR, which is Bronx Turbo DMR Conventional. You have Motorola Capacity Plus. So that's a DMR system. One below it, Long Beach School District's a DMR system. We have P25 Phase 2 being deployed here. That's another stage system. So you will see in the trunk system, to answer your question, will be labeled DMR. And if you scroll down even more, you'll see NXDN in there as well as a pull down.
Oh yeah.
Next Edge, NXDN. So there's quite a bit here. But it is easier to see it too if you look at radio reference, if you actually go into the county.
Sure.
Because you could have DMR conventional. So again, if you just go into conventional for Nassau County, there are conventional frequencies out of DMR. So DMR is not just a trunking standard. It could be like P25 can be a point-to-point conventional type of transmission or repeater, or same with DMR. You can just use a straight-out repeater and not be a trunk system.
I gotcha. Yeah, I actually do like kind of starting at radio reference first. So another question I got here is I'm trying to understand visualize in my head the communication process flow. So let's say any random county in USA, caller calls 911, says, "Hey, there's a fire at 123 Maple Street." So communication process here, does that go dispatch to tower to trucks, and then trucks are going out, sometimes communicating, simplex back, just fireman to fireman, and then maybe they're talking back to the dispatch. But is that always going through the antenna that's located at, I guess whatever one is positioned in the right location for broadcast?
Yeah, that could change based on wherever you're looking at. Sometimes you could have the dispatcher have a hardline connection to where the repeater site is over fiber or an Ethernet backbone, and then you can have multiple transmit towers which are all linked together. So you're broadcasting that dispatch over several different transmitter sites. Some departments may be paging out over one-way alphanumeric pagers instead of over an RF path so that you can listen to. You could be transmitting over a repeater frequency or a simplex frequency, and then maybe even over a trunk frequency for dispatch. So I've here in my county, just for an example, is we have simplex on a low band for half the county, and then the other half of the county just has their own VHF, UHF repeater they use for dispatch. And then some departments in the county will have their fireground as a simplex, but they also have a repeater that listens to the fireground simplex and repeats it out so the rest of the department can listen to it, so you can hear it as you're rolling in. Other departments may have it so that it's patched into a talk group. Some departments here have it so that it's only on a repeater. So, and then other parts of my county here only operate on low band, so they're only using low band point to point. So, each one's going to be its own, however the county is set up is going to be how the answer is really going to be. So there's no really set standard, except whatever the standard is that they're being used, in that department.
I gotcha. So kind of taking a step back, we had talked about, people going out and finding frequencies in our talk groups and locations. So is the best approach just to go put your scanner, maybe just plug into the cigarette lighter and drive around in that county to where you can start picking up transmissions and just put it in like a scan mode?
You can do it that way. And you're going to get a lot of noise if you do it like that. You'll get a lot of digital noise in there. You may find some birdies, which is just, the white noise that you pick up.
Mm-hmm.
You may want to do close call mode while you're doing a search mode, because if you roll up to something and when somebody keys up close to you, like search mode is great for if you're walking into like, I don't know, Target or Best Buy or something like that, and they have those FRS radios. You want to find out what they're using. The minute they key up, your scanner's going to lock into it if you're close to somebody, and you'll be able to hear what their conversation is. You would have a hard time doing that in search mode unless your search range was really, really small.
Gotcha. Just stick to the close call.
Right. So you can do close call too if, again, if you're on a fire scene and you just happen to not be catching anything on the scanner and you know they're talking, you can put it in close call mode and you'll hear what's going on, or you have a better luck at doing that.
So how do you, in that case, how do you log that information? Do you just, like, let's say it's picking up multiple different talk groups and multiple different frequencies you weren't aware of. Is there a clean way to be able to like log off that data?
Yeah. So again, if you're doing it via software is going to be the cleanest and easiest and quickest way to do it.
Sure.
You could use software like, again, Unitrunker, or you can even use Pro 96Com, and Pro 96Com is nice because it will store right to a CSV file. It's very easy to use. Unitrunker stores as XML files, and you have to like pick the fields you want, and it's a little bit difficult to look through. Sure. At least when I was doing it, but you get used to it. You start to figure it out. The scanner itself, though, if you're just going out to scanner, will do a very good job on its own because you can actually log close call hits. The scanner will beep and tell you it found something, hit enter to store it. You can even store your search mode. You can do, I think you could do, I don't know if you could store with search mode. I might be wrong on that one. But you can definitely store when it comes to close call. It's also discovery mode, too. If you have one of the HP scanners, not the 996P2, but like the 436, 536.
Yeah, 536 HP as well.
Oh, perfect. So even that one's even going to be easier for you to use with that one because you can compare your search results with what's already in the database. So if it's in the database, it will ignore that search hit and it won't log it because you've already defined it and you know it's existing. But anything that's not existing that it comes up on, it will save that to an archive. So it will actually store that. If you click on, what is it here? I'm looking at my 436. It's the replay record. It's right below the avoid key next to the number 4.
Okay, yeah, I see. It's avoid, then replay, and records right above it.
Right below it, right. So yeah, it might be different on the 536. Correct. So if you press that, it will actually log. So if it be function record, it will log everything that's coming through the scanner. So you can even come back in with Sentinel and go through the discovery mode. Let me back that up. Let me back that thought up. So recording will only record what's actually going on through the scanner. If you're going into discovery mode is where it actually starts logging things in a prettier format for you, and you can compare it with the database. So again, if you're in discovery mode, conventional discovery mode, you put a range in there, say 450 to 470, just to cover the UHF band, not the T band. We can do that as a separate scan list or separate discovery mode. And then it will say it gets a hit on, I don't know, 453, 100. And if that is not in the database, it'll actually log 453, 100 as a valid hit. Whereas if 453, 100 was in the database, it would ignore that hit and just continue on its way. So that's something that you'll play with. So that you'll get more functionality on the higher end scanners than you would on the 996.
And that's just called discovery mode. If I want to pop open the user manual and read a little bit more on it, okay.
Yeah, awesome. That would be discovery mode, correct. I've used discovery mode more on the trunking side than the conventional side. That's why it took me a second there or two. Because what I normally do is I'll do the record mode when I'm trying to just listen to a range of frequencies and just go back later on and listen to them. But the discovery mode sounds more of what you want to do. And I use discovery mode more for trunk systems. So if I might just let the scanner sit there for like a week and just go into discovery mode and then go back and see whatever talk groups are, new on the system that I haven't picked up on before.
I gotcha. So I think the last two kind of higher level questions I have for you is one is, okay, I know there's a whole lot with earth bulge and just there's so many things, but in a scenario where we lived in a 2D world and you have I have a D130N dipole antenna, what kind of range is that actually going to pick up distance wise?
So that's got a lot of variables on it as well. The antennas will work line of sight, point to point from each other. So the higher you get your antenna, the better off your coverage footprint becomes. The better coax you use, the better your coverage footprint becomes, because you've eliminated the loss between the antenna and the back of your radio. Same thing holds true with the other person. So if they're using a, say, Fireground, 0.5 watt radio, 1 watt radio on the side of their belt, and they're inside of a building, you may only get a couple block radius on that. But if they're on top of same radio, but they're on top of a mountain, you can get miles and miles off that. So it's a very loaded question as to what it is. So
that's kind of what I had figured.
Yeah.
It just, I'm thinking about, if I want to go position some different scanners at different, people's houses, what would be the best way to kind of just be a ballpark starting point for coverage zones and trying to figure that out.
Right.
And then doing fine tuning kind of as you go.
And again, the different antennas you use too, the better gain they may have in it, right? So if you had, like you said, you had a D130NJ disc cone antenna, so that's an equal opportunity offender, to say it's a wide range of frequencies that antenna works for. Whereas if you bought, say, a antenna that's just tuned for 800, it may have some gain in there, and that gain is going to improve your 800 megahertz coverage better than you would have gotten off of the disc cone. Mm-hmm. So for my example with me is I have on my house the very same height. I have a diamond amateur radio antenna, which is cut for 2 meters and 440, right? A VHF, UHF basically, and it's got a decent amount of gain. I believe 9 dB of gain on the UHF side of the house. My scanner antenna at the moment is an Austin ferret, and that's a whole nother can of worms right there.
Sure.
But if I go back and forth, so from where I'm located in Long Island, if I'm on the Austin ferret, I can't hear Jersey City police, right? It's all into New Jersey. If I flop over into my amateur radio antenna, I can pick them up like they're sitting right next to me.
Mm.
So everything else being aligned, everything else being exactly the same, because I have all that gain in the antenna, which I don't have on the other one, I'm able to also pick up these signals.
I gotcha. Yeah, no, that does make sense. What and the last thing I got for you is about grounding. Mm-hmm. And living in where I live, there's about maybe an inch of topsoil, and then it's rock. So if it's outside, it's a little bit different. But let's say on indoors, how tinfoily do I need to be on grounding scanners and I guess, just start there.
Okay. So, I actually did a whole episode on just grounding. I don't know if you got that far yet with it.
No, not yet.
Okay. So, I did cover this a lot. And again, this is a lot of how tinfoily do you want to get with it. You definitely want to find out, though, from your building code how far down a grounding rod would have to be, just say for electrical system. This way you know how far down you have to go. And again, like you said, it might be a little tough to get down that far. I think 8 feet is a general rule of thumb, at least where I am, is where all the grounding rods are. And again, you want to make sure you have nice, solid. It may take you a while to bang down that far, but you want to make sure that you're at least down there. The antenna, you probably want to ground if it needs it. The radios would be grounded together and then to a central ground point. You don't want to run each radio independently because you can actually get ground loops that happen in there. Mm-hmm. The antenna, if you have like a multi-coupler, is going to have a ground lug on it. Your power supply would have a ground lug on it. But again, the best thing to do is if you're really that paranoid about anything, just unplug the scanners from the antenna and also from the power, and you're kind of isolated at that point. It's not plugged into anything. Grounding is really going to limit your RF noise more than probably save your equipment if you get struck by lightning, because if your house gets hit by lightning, you have bigger problems.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
But if you have, say, a power surge, that would help you if your electrical is grounded correctly. You don't want your electrical to ground out through your radios. That's a whole other problem. You want everything to be bound together. And again, I'm not an electrician. I'm just here as a hobby.
Yeah, no, agreed. It's more like, it's all good information to kind of take in. There's a kind of You're right. Tip of the iceberg was a great way to kind of to define it, because it's the more I learn, I'm just more. It's been a long time since I've been up to I've had the knowledge I've had on the RF stuff. I ended up. My background's a lot in networking and on that side of things, so I understand that part of it. And when I did a lot of my wireless education, that's probably 6, 7, 8 years ago. So it's a little bit fuzzy. And then I'm kind of, as I'm diving into this, I'm like, geez, oh, Pete, I love how simple some of it is. That just also blows your mind of how the average person has no idea how this stuff works and how interesting it is.
Yep. But it definitely sounds like, though, from what you're describing, is you're going to tumble down this rabbit hole pretty fast.
Yeah.
Now, and there was a networking side of things too. I mean, have you looked at anything with SDR, or software-defined radio? Have you looked at that at all?
No, that's a new concept I'm hearing right now.
Yeah, so if you haven't looked at SDR, what that basically is you can buy these cheap dongles at like $30, USB sticks, and you would plug them into your antenna network, where you can just run standalone mag mount antennas or something like that, and it gives you a waterfall or a full spectrum view of what's actually out there, and you can actually see all the spikes happening as people transmit and all that, and you can actually click on that spike with your mouse, and it would center the frequency on it, and then you can start listening to it.
Oh, wow. So is this for any type of scanner, or is it just for certain kinds?
This would be standalone product, so it wouldn't really be. I mean, there's scanners out there that are considered SDRs, and you look at like the Hack RF or something like that, and they're a couple $100. But an entry level to get you in the door is like a Newelec SDR, and if you want, I can shoot you a link to one on Amazon, an affiliate link. Yeah. And what I did was I went on a cruise back in October, and what I did was I had 2 SDR dongles with me, and I ran a piece of software called DSD Plus, which allows me to monitor what's going on, and I also ran SDR Sharp, which, again, SDR Sharp is the visual of what's going on over the air. So I was actually able to start figuring out what's going on in the cruise ship. All right, we have a DMR system here. Let me start logging the DMR talk groups. All of a sudden, oh crap, they're encrypted. But when we ported in Bermuda, I fired up DSD Plus, and I looked for like the local. Actually, I had my 436, so I had that in a search mode. I had SDR Sharp, just looking at the spectrum to see what's around me. I isolated a trunk system, then fired up DSD Plus, was able to start picking out some business talk groups on the local tower that was right there outside of the port. So, and again, that was all done within maybe a half-hour time frame of finding out, after we reported what was there. But SDR...
So, that'd be great to send that link. So, but just it's a USB dongle that you plug into your computer, and then yes. How does it connect into, I guess, how are you, I'm missing the drop of when you plug it into your machine, mm-hmm. How is it picking up, transmissions?
So SDR Sharp is the actual software you would start off with, and that's able to take the signal that comes in off the USB and convert it into something that you can visually see and listen to. So your computer actually becomes the radio itself, whereas the USB dongle becomes the interface between the USB port and the antenna. So really, again, let me back that one up. The USB dongle is the receiver, but your computer is all that hardware and all that circuitry and all that magic that actually makes what the receiver receives and what you can listen to with it.
Okay, very interesting.
So your computer actually also becomes the trunk radio decoder. If you add a second one, it becomes the actual trunk radio receiver. So
interesting.
Yeah, if you were playing with like P25, you can listen to P25, DMR, and XDN, all from free software, and a $30 dongle.
Man, that's too cool. And I'm glad there's another rabbit hole now to go down.
Yes, there is. And from that rabbit hole, too, you can start going down weather satellite reception. You can start going down ADS-B receiving and plotting out planes. You can do the same thing for ship traffic. You can go down. There's a million different ways you can go down something with just an SDR dongle. So, and I'm personally myself, I'm a little bit down to the tip of the iceberg on that one, but I'm still playing around. There's a whole lot you can do with an SDR That is just
And the
mind-boggling.
acronym is it software defined radio?
That's correct.
Okay. Yeah, definitely I'll do some looking on that. But hey, Phil, it was a pleasure. Good to get to be able to throw some questions off you and get some feedback. Kind of really helpful and kind of align my efforts to kind of say, okay, where do I need to go next here? So
Also, if I don't know how far you might have gotten that far already. I had a consulting call with John Goldenberg back on session 13, and we went through some of the, not really totally some of the questions you had, but I mean, if you have more questions, we'll keep going. I don't want to cut you off here if you have a couple more questions you want to go through.
a lot of them are kind of it's hard because I'm in this process of like understanding and also then trying to form coherent questions. So it's a matter of listen to as many Scanner School podcasts as I can to understand things from a conceptual level, and then from then try to take that and to practically apply it to to the goals I'm trying to reach. But then at the same time, understanding every little bit nut and bolt from point A to point Z. So it's kind of I would be a little at this time. I think I'd be a little bit hard pressed to come up with more I think very good quality type questions I think would be beneficial for your time.
Okay.
However, I just have a big to-do list of questions related to the scanning world. And as I'm going through and doing research, whether that's reading a manual or learning new features on a certain scanner, what I'm doing is I'm taking that and I'm adding those to the list. And there's a very, very high likelihood that list is going to fill back up again, where we could, maybe hop on another one in the near future. There's just, it's so cool that the open source side of this world. I really, really like that aspect of it. Having a little bit of a Linux background myself, it's kind of nice to see that.
And you may like that too with the SDR, because there is Linux software called OP25, and again, and also GNU Radio also. And
nice.
That allows you, again, to take those SDR dongles, and you plug it into the USB port, and you can, using GNU Radio, you can actually build the parts and the components of the radio itself on a breadboard type of thing, or a block diagram. And then, people are doing some really, if you just go look online and look up, GNU Radio or on YouTube, and you'll find people are just making these really, really crazy things with those pieces of software. And again, OP25 is a P25 trunking receiver logger, those kinds of things. You can run that, and it runs great in Ubuntu or something like that as well. Raspberry Pi is getting a lot of software now. The Raspberry Pi version 3 is out. So again, people are running, they're running a lot of P25 decoding right through a Raspberry Pi as a standalone receiver now. So now for the Raspberry Pi for $65 or whatever they cost now, right? $35 plus the SD card, plus the case, plus the power supply, and then with the again a pair of SDR USB dongles for $100, you got a really nice system that you can just log into and listen to. So there's a lot that's coming around, and a lot of people say encryption's killing the hobby, but at the same time, this whole other part of the hobby is now growing. So while encryption might be there, and it might be a stumbling block for a lot of people, it opens the door for a lot of other interesting things that I think a lot of people are missing out on.
And so I guess, here's an interesting question I got for you. So in the whole encryption side of things, isn't this hardware supported by taxpayer dollars? And so I understand, like, for HIPAA violations that there would be need to encrypt certain types of traffic, but it seems that if the equipment is published or purchased with public tax dollars, that it would, I don't know, kind of just goes against the grain of encrypting and logging that traffic out. Is that how the counties they're purchasing it with taxpayer dollars?
They're probably, I mean, this is a hole that can get pretty muddy. Most of the times, the systems are public purchased either via taxpayer dollars or via a government grant, which again in the end ends up being taxpayer dollars anyway. but there's a whole lot involved with it. You know, you get people who are looking for officer safety or those kinds of things, and there are just stuff out there that really shouldn't be monitored to begin with. You know, there are lives at stake or coordination efforts and stuff like that. So in the end, if somebody is really that bent on turning over encryption, you know, the best course of action for them would be to write to their local representation. Get some local groups involved, like here locally, the PD encrypted, and the fire departments and all the fire chiefs and you know, everybody else out here that was part of the fire districts went to the local PD and said, this is, you know, our safety involved here, because we've had situations where we've rolled up and found out that there was somebody that's shooting at our, you know, at the EMTs. That was a real life situation that actually happened and played out. And the solution was that, well, you know, each one of the dispatch officers will get 2 radios then, so they can listen. It doesn't really help anything, but that was the solution. So in the meantime, you know, then there's a hotline that the media can find out what's going on, and so they're like, well, we made you know, resources available. We don't want anybody listening to us. If a new system's coming online, you know, get out there, get to the board hearings, get to all those things, and address your concerns then. But really, you know, encryption's encryption. I see both sides of it. I see the officer safety side of things.
Yeah, definitely.
And the need to know, and also from a hobbyist, you know, you want to know, but does that entitle you to know, type of thing?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the whole officer safety side of it is definitely you know, if you've got nefarious intent and you're able to know that, let's say you don't want the cops at your location, and you're able to know that they're on their way there, it's kind of defeats the purpose of, you know. So I definitely get that aspect of it. It's more or less of a, well, what prevents everybody from jumping over to an encrypted system and then everything kind of going dark?
Well, money is one of them, because it does cost extra to enable the encryption usually. So, and some people, they just understand this, you know, they don't need it. So, or there's been departments too that have had encryption turned on, and then in a couple years later they turn them off. So, yeah,
there's definitely probably budgets and different costs that are associated with.
You get somebody who's involved too that changes their mind and says, you know, we don't need this. So,
yeah, I'm sure it adds a lot more. I mean, to actually encrypt that data, it's more processing. You're right. There's extra costs associated with that. And,
yep.
Is it overkill, or is it necessary?
Right. And again, too, once you start adding stuff like an encryption, you can lock yourself into a particular manufacturer of the radio that may be more money than another manufacturer of a radio. So again, it comes into that, you know, they're saving money, or so, you know. And again, encryption is part of the game at this point. You know, it was a problem when they went trunking. And all of a sudden, you couldn't listen to trunking, and then they made trunking radios. I'm not going to say they're going to make radios that can handle encryption, because they're not going to do that. But, you know, there have been stumbling blocks in the past when it came to the scanner radio hobby. And you know, the hobby's still here. It's still evolved. It's still, you know, gone with it. And I don't think, short of somebody coming and saying it's illegal in the state or illegal in this country, I think, at least in the United States here, you know, I mean, you go to other countries and you can't scan. You know, you look at the UK, and they're scanning aviation and marine, because that's really all they can listen to. So,
yeah, that's very, very interesting when you hop from, you know, just different country to country, the different local law but
yep.
One other quick question. Now that you'd said that, I remember in one of your episodes you'd mentioned using radio reference to identify lat longs of the towers that are leased, and so. If you are looking to go to County X and do some groundwork to figure out the different talk groups, frequencies, or just the different chatter that's going on, is the most logical approach to, you know, let's say take your portable or mobile scanner with you. Let's say maybe pre-program it with everything that you could find on radio reference, and then head out to that tower location, or is that type of methodology not as the crow flies to find out the information you're looking for?
So explain that one again. So if you're going to a transmitter site to find out what the active frequencies are, or are you trying to, I mean, because if you can, well, go ahead, try.
Okay, so let's say there is county number 1. And county number 1 you don't pick up at all, but that's because you don't have any scanner in that location. And you say, all right, well, I'm going to go and figure out where I want to actually put a scanner so I can pick up as much as I can pick up in that county. So you head over to radio reference. You say, okay, cool. Let me find county number 1. Cool. Here's everything that exists on it. Let me use my programming software and let me program the scanner. Cool. Now I've got a program scanner with that county number 1. Let's head over to that county. So you head over to that county, and then maybe in your car you got this little pull-out antenna on the back of it, and you're trying to locate a place where you're actually able to pick up different transmissions. It is that type of approach to determine if you're picking up broadcasts the right way or the best way, or is there a better approach to that type of scenario?
Okay, so that's another great question, because you may find out that particular counties, the way they're licensed, which is what the FCC is trying to do, is they're trying to limit you only have a footprint within the area you actually need. So physically going into the county you want to listen to is a good way of doing it. And again, example, because I'm familiar with it, like NYPD. NYPD has citywide frequencies that cover the entire city. I'm about 45 minutes from the border. I can still hear NYPD's plain as day. But the individual precincts in NYPD, like say in Queens or Brooklyn, I sometimes have a very hard time hearing, because they're licensed only for, X number of total radiated power output, ERP. And so for like, again, listening outside the county and trying to hear something that's inside the county may not be your best tactic. So actually physically going into the county and finding what's going on inside the county is a good way of finding out extra stuff. Finding out the exact locations of the transmitters, again, may also improve your success rate of hearing things. Strictly because, again, where I live, north side of the county versus south side of the county, we have a giant ridge in the middle. We call it the Long Expressway. The terrain changes from there. So where I am, I miss a lot of the north part of the county, but I can hear the south part fine. So not only going into the county and finding out what's available for you as far as transmitter sites, but looking at your terrain of the county would help you out tremendously as well. You don't want to drive into the county and pick the lowest point, because now, again, we talked before about line of sight. You may not hear something on the other side of a ridge. You may not hear something that's on the other side of the mountain. So if, again, depending how your terrain is, you may want to find the highest spot within that county. And again, that highest spot in the county may have all the transmitter sites on it because it's the highest spot within the county. And that may not be a good solution, because your scanner is going to be overloaded because it has too much RF. It's a high RF environment, and it might be deaf now. So,
and that's deaf because there's too much
RF
interference.
Yep, exactly. Your noise floor rises because there's all this RF environment in there as well. So, again, this is one of those case-by-case basis, which makes the whole scanning hobby fun. It's every little thing changes what you're doing about it. But yeah, I mean, again, to answer your question is, look and see what's in radio reference. You can just click on the license, and it will bring up the map to show you what's available in the county. And again, that's a great way of using your resources that are available to you to find out what's out there. So,
yeah, that's the approach of what I at least did from a logical standpoint. Is I did that. I located the towers, and I said, okay, let's go pull up some topo maps, and let's look at the elevation of those places to try to see where they stand at in the county from a topo map perspective. So you're able to tell elevations, and okay, well, that makes sense why that tower's there. And, that makes sense why that tower's there. But I guess thinking of all the RFI stuff that you just mentioned, I didn't even think about that initially, but that's a very important thing to take into consideration.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot going on out there. So
that's, to say the least. That's true.
Yep.
Okay, well, awesome. And Phil, what I'll end up doing is, if another good set of questions come up over the next little while, I'll keep logging them, and then I'll reach back out to you. And then, just as your Phil at Scanner School, the best email address to reach you.
Yeah, that was perfect. Yep.
Okay, awesome. Well, hey man, I can't appreciate you dropping some knowledge today, and continue the hard work with the podcast. Keep it up. I know it's a commitment to maintain that. So keep giving you some motivation to keep doing it, and I think a lot of people really value the content that you're producing. So
excellent. I really appreciate that. It keeps those words of motivation keep me going. So,
that's awesome. That's what I want to hear, man. That's exactly what I want to hear.
excellent. All right, man. Well, again, if you have any other questions, you can always reach me on my email. And then I do apologize for missing that first one. That it took a couple days, but I got swamped with the holidays. It was just a lot going on here, and I'm about 3 weeks behind my emails right now. So
yeah,
you got lucky. You got lucky. I caught it within a week.
Yeah, no problem. It's none at all. I'm extremely busy myself, so it was one of those things where, all right, I'm going to shoot this message out to Phil, and then hopefully here in the next month or so, I'll get a response. So yeah, no, awesome. Enjoyed the conversation, and keep up the hard work.
Excellent, thanks. And if you end up going down the rabbit hole and you become really good at something that you're working on, become that expert at it, come back on. You can teach us how to do what it is you're doing.
All right, I'll definitely do that, and make sure to shoot off that affiliate link.
Yes.
I'll take a look at that dongle and begin that trek.
Will do.
All right, Phil, have a great day.
You too. Thank you very much.
All right, bye.
All right, bye. So there you have it. There is a consulting call between myself and Tyler. So thank you, Tyler, so much for allowing me to use this session in a podcast. So again, this is our Ask Scanner School for the week. So if you have any scanner radio related questions, you can always ask us by going to scannerschool.com/ask. In there, you'll find a link that you can record your own question, and we will be more than happy to play that back on a podcast and answer your questions. Now, again, for those of you leaving a voicemail, that is the quickest way to get your question answered. If you're a little shy, that's fine. You can always submit your question using the form on that page, and we will answer those questions in order that they come in. So we are a couple of weeks or months behind on answering those, actually. We have questions in the queue to answer the next couple of Ask Scanner School sessions. So again, if you use the voicemail, you will get a much quicker response. And again, if you're looking for a one-on-one session like you heard today, you can always click on the consulting link at the very bottom of the Scanner School page as well. Before we go, I want to thank again our Patreon supporters, Brian Southworth, Dan, James Felling, Ken Newberry, Kenneth Fowler, M.T. Bono, Mark Beebe, Raymond Hill, and William R. Cand. You can support Scanner School by going to scannerschool.com/support. On that page, you will find links to our Patreon. You'll find links to one-time PayPal donations, or even to our affiliate programs such as Butel Software, Scanner Master, and Amazon. So if you're going to make a purchase on Amazon or Scanner Master, just visit scannerschool.com/support first. Click on those links, and we will get credit for anything you buy using those links as well. So again, Patreon is great. It's a month-to-month like PBS model of support. So you'll be supporting us monthly, and then PayPal is also a one-time fee. And of course, if you buy using our affiliate links, it is a one-time kind of support type of process that doesn't cost you anything because you are using our affiliate links. It's a great way to help support us because it doesn't cost you a thing, and you are able to make your purchases as well. All right, guys, so we have something a little bit different for next week, something a little bit out of the ordinary, but maybe you'll find it interesting, maybe you won't. Maybe you want to share it with your significant other as well to prove that you aren't so nuts. So again, my name is Phil Lichtenberger. This is Scanner School, and make sure that you have subscribed to the podcast so you check out next week's episode. Just take your phone out of your pocket, what playlist you're using or podcast player, click subscribe so you get next week's session automatically delivered to your device. We'll catch you all next Tuesday, 73, and thank you so much for listening and being there and for your continued support.